Because it's previewing fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it says we're live. Does it look like we're live now? I'll give you guys the link here
See.
in the
Yep, there it
Hangouts.
is. It says live now. Yep, there we are. It's working.
Is it the same channel? Is this the same one?
It's
No, we're
correct.
good though.
It seems correct now.
Yeah, it's working. We're live.
Oh, driving me crazy. YouTube driving me crazy. Oh. Anyhow, well, we've already spoken to everyone about our intros and hellos. I'll just do it real quick, just in case something has broken. Roundtable with the stream team. That is us. Hello, welcome.
Yes, hi.
Hello. We have Delilah HD with us.
Thanks for the invite.
There you go. Thank you. And she is with us, and she's going to tell us how she's become a content creator for all of her different avenues, or the podcast, YouTube, all that fun stuff. We have MJ as a boss here.
What's poppin'?
There we go. We got it. So I got it once out of you today. I'm happy. And Miss El Boogie is with us also.
What's poppin'?
What? Oh, thank you. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. I think we're gonna have to start a drinking game every single time I say the word fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Because I re-listened to it last week and I was just like, I've said it way too many times.
So that's your take, huh?
That is my.
No, we're gonna do this Saturday night then, or Friday night.
Oh man.
We're gonna start drinking.
Oh, man. I don't think you're gonna have enough liquor for that one. But yes, apparently it is my downfall, and I am Snaldo here. Also Lord Pete, because nobody can ever pronounce or find my name, and I am here, helping facilitate this. So as we've all come here to speak to everybody, we are here for Delilah HD. So please tell us how you decided to start becoming a content creator, and what kind of puts you into that type of realm of what you wanted to do.
Wow. So my story is what's interesting about it is very kind of lengthy, because I was doing like content creation and podcasting before it became big on like YouTube. And I feel like if I would have stuck with it, it'd probably be something really big today. But I kind of gave up several times and switched jobs, and real life happened. But I started back in the day as a writer for a website called xboxgamers.com, which was for the OG Xbox. I just was always been passionate about it because I've been playing video games since I was 4. And while I was writing on that particular website, people would always comment like, "Oh, we like your writing. You should do your own thing." Since we was having some issues with the owner, he couldn't decide whether he wanted to keep going with it or not. So I kind of spun off and did my own website called onthexbox.com. And then at the time, during that time, I met another guy at a convention that I went to, and he was doing a website called 360style.net, which was like all about backgrounds, doing like, art for them. And, if anyone know me, they know I'm a designer, or, so I do like graphics and things like that during that time. And so I would do work for him. I became a developer for that site. And this was all like early 2000s. So I would say 2003 to like 2007 or so is when all that kind of took place. But since 2007, I switched from doing all of that to doing a website called g3next.com, which would do like designs for Reddit. So I did like Sea of Thieves, I did Killer Instinct, Recore, bunch of other designs pretty much under that umbrella that I created. And then after that, I created a bunch of like phone apps for gaming. So I did one under the Digital Or umbrella. And I've been using that pretty much as a portfolio to do other things. But most recently, I would say I started doing videos on YouTube just under the Delilah HD moniker. I figured I wanted to focus more on myself instead of just playing the background for all these other successful sites that did really great things. And so I was like, I'm gonna focus on me and try to do things for myself. And so that's how that started back in, I would say, 2016, 2017. I started doing like one video a week, started posting up gameplay, talking about games, talking about things that was just coming out soon, researching developers and stuff. And I just kind of never fully flushed that out. and it was like late, I would say 2017. I was kind of a little bit bummed because, Microsoft was going through a lot of their transitioning. They started, closing studios. And so being a, primary Xbox, platform covering just the content in particular, it was just like I had no more enthusiasm to kind of focus on that. So then I was like, man, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's all I always kept talking about. Like, I'm retiring from it all. I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to just focus on my career, focus on work. And lo and behold, I run into like Grown Women Gaming, with meeting with like, El Boogie. Just to make a long story short, just meeting with like El Boogie, Lady, and Cherise. So that's kind of where I'm at now, just, doing things with Grown Women Gaming, and you just dabbling and thinking about whether I want to continue with doing a YouTube channel. I still do the like Xbox Win campaign, which is, something I started a long time ago, along with these sites I had did back in the day. So where like I give away $60 to $300 per quarter for like people who I just randomly, because I just always like giving things away. It's pretty fun. And that's pretty much it, just to make a long story short.
So you said that throughout your career, you kind of is evolved and changed. So
Yeah.
so you'd say your normal, I hate to word it this way, but a normal profession, like you are
I'm a designer
a graphical designer.
I'm a designer. I'm a UI designer for developer tools at Microsoft.
Oh, okay. So and you've used the kind of that knowledge.
It's like,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've used like everything that I've kind of done in the past. It's like a launch pad for the jobs I've been able to get up until this point.
Nice.
It's always been kind of gaming related, because I've always been just passionate about it since I've been playing since I was 4. So it's hard to just kind of give up on gaming in general. But yeah, it's been my lifeblood, so to speak.
It's been the passion that you've wanted to pursue your whole entire life.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I feel that's most of our generation of people who are podcasters and gamers that want to be in the gaming sphere, being a developer or a writer or something in that realm. I mean, for MJ, I know is going to school and he's pursuing something like that. I know I know that I want to be in that type of sphere, but I'm getting my itch scratched, so to speak, by helping the Lords of Gaming.net team do their thing, and then Iron Lords podcast team doing their thing. So at least that's where I get my scratch, my scratching for
yeah.
for it.
I could say the road itself, it hasn't been easy because I mean, I would say I've been to like 8 E3s, and it's like every time I go, I meet a different set of people with depending on like what industry they're in, what company they work for, and you'll be surprised with just who doesn't remember you, who does. So it's all about just keeping those relationships tight, and definitely utilizing those to your advantage. I mean, that's why I recommend people to go all the time. So yeah, if you really want to get into this space, I would say always, always, always have a fantastic portfolio, know how to talk the talk, walk the walk, and keep your relationships tight. That's pretty much it.
Exactly. I agree with you. Now, how did you end up meeting up with El Boogie and Cherise and the rest of the GWG ladies?
Oh, sure. So that I would say this was like 2017. I believe it was the Console Corner podcast, and one of the ladies on the show, she was trying to do an all ladies panel, and I've always been very vocal on Twitter about like gaming and things, and so she just kind of reached out to me, was like, "I'm doing this podcast. I really would like for you to be a guest." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it out." And I think when I went on that show, I think Lady was also on that show, a couple other women. We were all just kind of talking about games, and this was ran by, I believe it was She Wolf is what her moniker was. But it was called Console Corner, and we would just talk about games and things like that. And I remember Lady reached out to me, just like, Delilah, I want to do my own podcast. And I was like, man, look, I'm retired, I'm done, I don't want to do any shows. So, but if I'm gonna do something, it's like all or nothing with me. Like I always try to I try to put my best foot forward on everything that I attempt. So I was like, if we really gonna do this, we gotta be consistent and you know, it can't just be something we stop and start. And I mean, that's like, you know, I didn't want to just try and give up
Right.
and then stop again. So, after talking with her, she's like, okay, well, let me, I said, and plus I don't want it just to be you and me. I feel like we need a bigger team. I was like, let me ask around for somebody that can kind of assist us. And she was like, well, I may have somebody in mind. I think she reached out to El Boogie, and I think they met up or something like that. I don't know that whole story, but El Boogie can probably tell that story better than I could. And then pretty much after I reached out to a close friend of mine, and well, Sharice, and she reached out to El Boogie. That was pretty much, you know, that was it. That was the four of us, and we just kind of been doing it ever since.
So you ladies have just passed your 100th episode.
Yeah.
So how did that make you feel? That you actually accomplished 100 episodes? Because that's a big deal. You know, it's not something that it's not. I would say, like, when people are like, oh, I've been doing a podcast, and when you go, oh, how many have you done? And they're like, I've done 7. And it's like, that's not really, I would consider, like, a full podcast. You're still in your baby stages. But now that you've hit that 100, that is like a well-established podcast in my book. And I've been in your channel live a few times, and I think that you ladies do an amazing job with everything. Now, where do you ladies get your gameplay from? And who thought of that as your type of method of doing the podcast itself?
Wow, I think that's actually because we, you know, after doing the console quanta, we actually, Lady and I went on GRG, which was a separate podcast, and they pretty much wanted a different voice on their show. They asked us to do on there, and that was a remnant of that particular podcast. They had always posted videos and stuff like that. I was like, man, I kind of like the format. Even though I was, you know, early on, I was kind of against it because it took a lot of work of people just submitting in video, and then, you know, one person would have to do all the production as far as editing, clipping things together and things. But I felt like, man, we could do this an easier way, you know, if we was to do our own show. And so I just thought it would be a great feature, because usually when you're watching podcasts, you know, so like with this one, like sometimes you'll just pop it on and you'll do something else, like it'd be another browser reading something or watching something else. But it's like we wanted people to stay engaged as far as the chat and stuff. So having video there really sometimes help the kind of, because the attention span is so short. So, you know, having them multiple things for people to look at and do while they're listening to your podcast is always great. So we just want to kind of keep that going.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. Now, with the growth of that channel, I know that Ella said it's a couple of times to us that you guys are looking for guests to come onto the show and things like that to kind of intermingle it. Have you had any guests on there presently that kind of stand out in your mind?
Oh man, I think every guest we have on stand out, because I mean, week to week it's always just the 4 of us. So anytime we have a guest, it's like their voice is very different from ours, and it's always a different perspective. So it's hard for me to say, like, pick out one person that's that. But I would say that we've only had one recurring guest, and I believe that's Martian Cat. I think she was one of the a lady that came onto the show that has done like kind of multiple shows. So yeah, I would
She
say
even
if I had
sat
to
and
pick
did
someone.
the Game Awards with us.
Right, yeah. So it will be her. We've had a ton of great guests. We have Running on the Sticks. If you all know who that is. UX Prophecy, I think his name is. We had a bunch of cool guests on there. They're all memorable too. Like, to me, those are the very entertaining shows.
The entertaining shows with the people that kind of end up, you know, they kind of take the show and put it on its side, because they're not exactly the same view as you, but it's kind of works out well, because, you know, it's all gaming and it's all good.
Yeah, and also like the format kind of changes just slightly. You know, we keep our same like intro, then topics, but then you know we have a little segment for the guest, which is it just adds to it. So
Yes. King is in the chat, by the way, and he says, "What's up?" I just wanted to make sure that you
oh,
hear
what's
him.
up, King?
Yeah, he's yeah, he's giving us all shout outs. He is a busy man, so for seeing him in the chat, we greatly appreciate you stopping in,
Yeah,
bud.
thank you.
So, with all of the things that you do now, you said that you were working on on your YouTube channel. What kind of progressed with that, and what did you end up going with that? What did you end up, kind of explain your evolution with that?
Wow. So at the moment, my YouTube channel is kind of dormant. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, when 2017 happened with all the, Microsoft going through all their studio closures and things like that, I was super like down and bummed about it. So one of my last videos was the and a game. It was a game I was super excited about. Was the one with the dragon. What was it called? Great. Now I'm
Spyro?
blanking. No, no. Hold on.
Was it a new game or an old game?
It's a new game that was slated to come out that was canceled in 2017.
I'm not sure.
Dragons.
I'm
Was it
about to
Are you
Game
talking
find it
about
right now.
Scalebound?
Scalebound. Yes, that's it. Scalebound.
Oh.
Okay,
I'm
so
like,
one of
I
my
know
last.
kids not talking about Scalebound.
Yes, I'm talking about Scalebound because I had to. Trust me, that was. I did a video on Scalebound. Like I was able to find some new video that was released in Japan. I spliced it all together. I
Mm-hmm.
talked about the concept of multiplayer. I even gave these cool like community shots out at the end. It was dope. Like I enjoyed. That's my last video, pretty much. First in depth and last video, because after
Yeah.
that I had no more enthusiasm about doing YouTube
Yeah.
content, and then the amount of work that would go into, and that's why people who do YouTube videos, I have so much respect for them. Anybody who stream, so much respect, because I know just how much work go into all of it, like the production, the setup, and then trying to keep people engaged. It's very it's very time intensive. Like it takes up a lot of time and effort, and so
Mm-hmm. What I with my stream schedule and kind of what I do to produce content for my YouTube page is it's kind of a little easier for me than others, because being on Twitch, you can produce markers throughout the whole entire time you're streaming. And I have an Elgato Stream Deck, and I love the thing. So every time something fun or exciting happens, I mark it. I mark it. I
You
mark
get
it.
the mega one,
No,
like the giant.
I don't
Oh,
have the giant one. It's just, you don't need it. You honestly do not need that giant thing.
you do.
No, you don't, because you can make pages.
You need.
What I ended up doing was I took my programming mind and mentality, and I have it so I have my main screen, and I switch it to another screen if I need to, or if I have pages for everything, so you don't need multiple ones.
You need two of them.
No, yes, well, sure, it's the same thing as a big one. So
adamant about it.
you don't need to. But what I ended up doing was I mark it, and then the next morning I'll end up cutting all those markers, and then I'll end up saving them and exporting them all to YouTube, because I want to produce content for my YouTube page, even if it's little 5-10 minute skits.
Right. Yeah. The
Because
biggest thing is consistency.
Yep.
Like and I told the ladies that too when we were just starting. I was like, look, if we're not going to be consistent, I don't want to do this. 'Cause I know we had a couple episodes, or like early on, like we would do a show and then everybody got busy, and then we just do one show, and then 2 weeks go by, and I'm just like, look, we need to be on here every week, like without fail, whether it's one of us, two of us,
Yeah.
or all of us. Like we need to just be consistent.
Yeah.
So
That's very similar to what happened with us when we started. We wanted to start. Gosh, I couldn't even tell you, when was it? September.
Yeah, I think it was September.
It was right at the end of the summer, and everyone's schedules kind of started conflicting, and then Elle had to move, and MJ had to start school, and it was one of those things that I was just like, man, what am I going to do? And thankfully I had a couple of guests kind of in pocket that I knew that I can kind of just call and be like, yo, I need you on here. Can you help me out? I got nobody. It's just going to be you and me. We'll have some brews and we'll just talk it out. And he's like, yeah, sure. And they would end up coming on, and we ended up doing it one-on-ones. And it started the process, because kind of get the kinks out and all the bugs you know, if you wanted to call him that, from the first couple of guests. And now we kind of have a more consistent schedule. We're gonna have PAX coming up, so we might end up missing a couple, but other than that, it kind of flowed very well, and it works out pretty good. So
will you be at E3?
Yes.
Hey, me too.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll see you and L. I think L, are you going?
I'm trying to go for sure. Like, I got this mean ass old dog that I'm trying to find somebody to watch.
oh man, you just
because she's like mean and old, and
I've seen the Instagram
you know,
videos.
No, that one was Chewy today. He's ready to go for a walk, but he's cool. Like, I asked my friend, I'm like, yo, so I'm trying to go to LA in, June. And she's like, well, I'll watch Chewy. Like, not the other one.
Wow.
Because she's mean.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of a dog being that mean that people are like, no, I don't.
Because she bites people. So
Ooh, yeah,
she's blind. She's like going deaf. No. Like, she's old.
Yeah. My wife's answer to all dogs that are sad is, I will hug them until they're happy. And it's like watching her walk over to an animal that I'm just like, this is not safe. What are you doing? And she'll do it.
Well, tell her I'll bring Moo up to her for me to go to E3. You guys are what, like 4 hours away? That's quite easy.
We are 4 hours away. We do not like having dogs here because of the guinea pigs.
No, they'll be all right. She can't see them.
I don't even know. Like, I'm trying to put two and two together to see, kind of get an idea of where you are, but I can't even. The guinea pigs kind of threw me off, so I don't.
Me? What do you mean?
You said 4 hours away. I'm like, okay, well, where is this?
Well, I'm from New York, so
yeah. Okay. Well, New York is like 5.5 hours. So
I see. Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. My wife just popped up and she's standing next to me, and she's giving me the evil eye. Like, what am I talking about?
Right. Tell her that you are volunteering.
Did you hear? Did you hear?
What?
Say it again, hon.
They never bite me. They just need hugs.
Okay. Well, I'm going to send her, and you let me know how it works out.
Oh boy. We'll have to talk about that later. So back a little on topic here. So what ends up what should I say is, when you started playing games and stuff and becoming this UI designer and all of that, what was your force behind wanting to do that? Like, what was your passion for it? Just because you grew up gaming, or was it just something that kind of evolved into that, or what was the reasons behind it?
It's kind of it's kind of a little bit of everything. Because like I grew up gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But another part of it was that, like, I became fascinated with like bringing something from like concept to actually people using it. So I've always been in a creative space of, like, whether it was doing logos for people, redesigning something for someone. So I've always been I love that. I love creating, and that's always been another driving force behind it all.
The reason why I wanted to become like a programmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was because I always felt like making something out of literally nothing.
Right. That's exactly it. It's so gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because you pulled it from thin air. Like, mm-hmm. that's for me, that is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just concept to public release. Go ahead. What did you say?
I was just gonna say, I will say that once something works, you're
mm-hmm.
like, it's very gratifying, because
mm-hmm.
it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, and then especially when you put like your time and effort into it, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and it's like, yo, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. I had this idea that was nothing, and now hundreds of thousands of people are using this idea that I created, and it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, because I'm getting like emotional just talking about it and thinking about it, because it's just where my passion lie. As far as gaming though, mm-hmm. man, like, gaming saved my life. Like, just being, I mean, when I was in like high school and dealing with like, boyfriend drama and such, it was like gaming was my escape from all of that. Like, if I needed an outlet or just a way to cope with what reality was handing me, or I just would just jump into a game and just disappear. Right. So yeah, it literally, I feel like it saved my life. Like as far as, depression, anything like that, it was therapy. So
It's a great escape for a lot of people to handle their lives, what's happening with their lives.
right.
I feel that, well, my wife, she's a therapist, and there's so many different types of therapeutic ways for people to kind of express themselves. And I feel, me coming as an outsider, not part of the whole therapy thought process, but as someone looking in, people being able to create is a great therapeutic means and method, and gaming and creation of games is another way to do that, because they're using their minds to put what they're doing on paper,
Right.
which is amazing, which is great. So, what was your first gaming memory?
My first gaming memory was Super Mario Brothers. I had to be like, I would say, I think it's about 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just at that age, I was just fascinated that with the controller and how like if I press a button on that controller, it would move on the screen. I was so blown away by
Mm-hmm.
that. I remember just looking at the controller, pressing it, and looking back at the screen, like constantly doing that motion of like button and oh, this moves, and I press this button and this move. And
Yeah.
like I remember my mom, like after a while, she would get like a little bit frustrated because
Mm-hmm.
I want to play all the time, like all the time. What it didn't matter what was on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always want to just take over and mess around with the controller and stuff. It wasn't so much that I understood how to play the game. It was just that when I press this moves, and when
Mm-hmm.
I use this little light gun and I shoot at these little ducks on screen, like they die and this little dog pops up and laugh at you and know that you know what I mean, if that you've missed, or and so it was just that so my first memory. And so after Nintendo, like I actually so fascinated with that. I went back and a friend down the street had like an Atari, and of course that wasn't as cool.
Mm-hmm. No,
but
no.
but
A
it was still
ball ponging across the room. No, it's
right.
called pong.
It
Yeah.
was still interesting though. It was
Mm-hmm.
still interesting because I remember playing like Pitfall and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was Mario.
There's more. Did you kind of, when you got your NES for the first time and you kind of like looked at it, did you know of the impact it was going to have on your life, or you just thought of it was just like another toy?
No, I did not know. I did not know what kind of impact I have on my life.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered that probably when I got like later on, once
Mm-hmm.
the newer systems started releasing. Then and I just knew every Christmas I was like, oh, what's the newest games or what's the newest console? Like, yeah, I didn't like then. I didn't know that it would be
Mm-hmm.
that this big of an impact
Which is your favorite console?
of all time. Wow, I would have to say the 64.
64.
That whole transition from 2D to 3D, it just did. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is huge. Like it made me realize that this is big. This is bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you have this full 3D world and you can navigate it, and like it was just yeah, it was something else.
Did you play GoldenEye?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have all your friends come over and you all played and you just put golden gun?
No,
shooting
it
everybody?
wasn't that far. I was one of the only families in my neighborhood to have like a 64
Mm-hmm.
console. It wasn't like that. I didn't have friends that had one, like
Mm-hmm.
but it was where kids would come over just to see it and play it and then try to take it from me because I was always the youngest one in the room. But um but that would be it. It would, yeah.
You'd fight them off.
Yeah, I would try.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus, I got siblings too, so we all had to kind of share it and stuff like that. But yeah.
How did your family kind of react to you wanting to be in the gaming sphere, doing the podcast and the YouTube stuff and everything else?
Well, at first it was like they were like, you need to turn the games off and don't worry about them and just go to school to be a doctor, because that's what I was studying. I was studying medicine when I graduated from high school and going into college. And then after taking an environmental biology class, I realized that, man, I hate this. Like, I don't want to study plants. Like, I'd rather study, human bodies.
I was in that
like
last semester.
With the environmental biology, with the plants and the
Plant bio.
Yes, hated it, absolutely hated it. But knowing that, like that validated it for me. It was like, okay, why am I doing this when I know I love creating? Why am I doing this when I know I love technology? And so I pivoted. I told my parents, I was like, I'm changing. I was so terrified. You guys have no idea how long I was saying I wanted to go to school for medicine. At least from the time I was 8 years old, all the way up into college. I was studying. I was, saying I wanted to go to study medicine, but when I came home,
did you really want to do that though, or was it like one of those things that you just do because you feel like that's
no? I really want to do it. Like I was always great in my studies. You know what I mean? I always had good grades and science. I always loved science and math. So STEM, like that was always my jam. So when I got to college, it was like, okay, I'm still on this path. I still love science. I'm still doing this until that class. That class was so terrible.
It's always fun.
But the teacher, not only was the teacher terrible, but the what I was studying, I didn't like it, because I hadn't ever studied it before. Like, I think we've dibbled and dabbled in like grade school and high school with it, but never on this deep of a level. And I was like, you know what, this is lame. Like, if this is what I'm going to be doing, I don't want to do it. So yeah, after that class, and I just went to my advisor and I was like, I'm changing my major. I don't think I want to do this anymore. I like where technology is going. And by that point, I was a little bit ahead of the curve, because I'd already been teaching myself like how to create websites and, how to create like stuff in Paint. I was already doing some stuff that was, computer based.
Did they force you to take a typing class in college?
No, they actually forced us to take a typing typing class in high school.
It was elementary.
They tried to force me to take.
That's because you're a child.
Yes, he's a baby.
Right?
Yoda.
They made us take cars in elementary.
They tried to force me to take typing in college, and I literally walked over to my advisor and I was like, I'm not taking a typing class. And the person was like, well, you have to. I'm like, I'm majoring in computer science. Why would I need to take a typing class? Because I know how to type.
Did you take one in high school though?
No.
Okay, so you're just old.
Yes, I'm old. Let me get my walker and,
and your Bengay, your diapers.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Let me get my cranberry juice,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. Yes, I'm an old man. But yes, so I think the advisors in college, in college are a lot easier to persuade to how you want to go. How you want it to be like, all right, this is what I want to be. And they're like, cool, do it.
Got you. You gotta do this and do this. Yeah.
You pay for what you want to do. If you want to be here 7-8 years because you want to be this profession, you're paying for it. I don't care. But we'll make sure you're doing it correctly.
Dude, you're absolutely right. Because I think making that change added an extra semester, but it was worth it. Because I'm happy with how everything, turned out from that decision.
Yeah.
Because after that, I was able to like get an internship and then like just really focus in on what I knew. Unlike some students, because some students can go through all of college, and then once they finish, they still don't know what they want to do.
Yeah.
I was different. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I graduated, and it's easy for me to be like, okay, my next step is X, and then my next step is going to be, I was able to just kind of, pen out a path and try to follow that trajectory. It was just straightforward, basically.
Right.
It's probably the better term to use.
That's good. That's good. Is there? Oh my god, I had a good question. I don't remember now. This is where the old person thoughts come in. I'm losing my train of thought. But what I was gonna say was with the college, when I ended up going to college and taking the path for computer science, they were like, we have software development, we have networking, we have graphical design, and it's all under the information systems technology field. So I was like, so I signed up for software development as my major, but when I get my actual degree and you look at my degree, it's just going to say information computer science. And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, do I have enough qualifications for my networking degree? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, let's just change to that, and so I can graduate, and so I can stop paying
and you
guys.
can always learn the program on your own time.
Yeah.
It's so many tools out there, man. I feel like the time that we're living in now is so special. You literally can learn anything you need, right? Like on the internet. Like everything's so accessible.
People ask me though, like, what's your hardest part about your job? And I'm like, figuring out the right way how to type in Google what I'm looking for. That is my hardest part of my day, trying to Google the correct answer.
If you had the typing class, you never know.
Oh, thanks, MJ. Appreciate it, bud. So
yeah, I mean, that's kind of similar. Like when I was in college, I mean, I did the kind of similar thing because I felt like I had already taught myself so much with as far as web design, creating websites, to where my major, I didn't major in it. It was definitely could have been the easier route. Like, look, let me just take web development. I know it already. I just make straight A's. No, I really wanted to I wanted to learn something completely different. So I actually did what you did. Like I did the networking thing, learning about routers and switches and stuff like that. Which was weird being in those classrooms because being a minority, the only black woman in the class felt a little awkward, but it kind of prepped me for the industry that I'm in today.
What was your
it's not a lot of us.
I'm sorry.
I said it's not a lot of us, but go ahead.
No, there's not. Is there many? What was like your favorite class then that you were in?
My favorite class? It was the development class. It was the Java. They were teaching Java at the time. That was it. It clicked. That was it for me. It's like Java, man. Yeah.
My Java professor, I was gonna kill him because he's like, this is all theory, and I'm like, cool, show me on the board what theory you're talking about, because you are just saying gibberish with no examples, and I don't understand what you're saying. And then he would be like, come to my office and office hours. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And then he would write it on the board, and then I would understand it, and I'd be like, cool. But oh man, that class drove me nuts. I'm sorry, that was my one gripe for college.
You didn't like Java?
I didn't like Java either. I
had a great teacher,
to learn.
That's the thing. It's teachers.
Oh man, yeah, I had a fantastic teacher, and I was so sad because I found out later on after I had graduated and moved on in my career that she died from cancer.
Oh,
it was so sad.
Yeah,
super
sad still.
I was like, this lady don't know how much she impacted my life. They just put things in perspective for you sometimes. It's like, wow, you just never know just how things are gonna go, man. I mean, sometimes that's why I say be kind to people, man. Be nice. You never know who's gonna be your boss. You never know who's gonna end up, helping you with something later on down the road. It's like, just be kind, man, and just live. Sorry, getting a little emotional here, but
well, I'm gonna change the subject real quick. MJ, you got anything?
Nothing much really. I already pretty much said everything earlier.
Okay. Elle, do you have any questions for Delilah?
I think I had one earlier and it floated away. But I know I wanted to say that I gotta have you show me better about Java and stuff, because I know it's not hard, but I had the worst teachers. The one teacher was like, oh, watch this guy from San Diego State. I'm like, so watch another professor that's supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
That's a
fun
little bit.
times.
After my argument with my Java teacher, he goes, "Hey, I have a great thing for you." And I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "We need someone to tutor Java in Visual Basic. Can you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I was just like, I've had all these arguments with this teacher about Java, and he wants me to tutor other students. It didn't make any sense whatsoever, but I ended up doing it, and it was probably one of the best times of college because it was like you were teaching your other classmates like how they were doing things wrong.
Yeah, I would say the advice I can give would be to, as far as Java, like if you really want to use, like I did Java back then, but I wouldn't select Java now. I mean, because it's just so many other
They still teach
modern
that
languages.
though. Like
I know, because
I just
it's
got
the
out
base,
of college.
it's the base of it. You know, it's like the granddaddy of majority of it, and it's not all of it because you got Perl and COBOL and all. You can go
Well, I thought
back
C# was more of.
C# is good too.
C Sharp's
Yeah.
pretty nice. But the thing
Yeah.
is that most programming languages now, it's basically you have the base language and it's just pulling
Syntax.
modules
Right.
from other groupings. It's not even like you have to know what you're doing anymore. It's just call this, call that, call this, call that, and then put this in here, and then put this in here, and put this in this space. They changed. I feel like they've changed programming and evolved it so much that you can actually minimize your knowledge of it because all
I
you
can
need
tell
to
you
know is a
why.
little
Like
bit.
Java, it's like the base for every other language. Like if you learn Java, you can learn C#, you can learn Angular, you can learn any programming language, and that's why most colleges teach it. Because at some point it's just the syntax is different. Same concepts, just different way you put it on screen. So, but yeah, it's so many. I mean, you could use, if you really want to like learn on your own, and this is anybody, you could use like Udemy courses. And they're really cheap. Sometimes you can get them for like $10 for the entire course and learn at your own pace. There's so many tools today that man, it's super easy to, if you're a professor or somebody who's ever teaching you is pure just trash and you can't, just sometimes you got to just try to take it into your own hands and try to fight for your knowledge and learning, I guess. I don't know how else to word that, but
Elle, did you have any more questions?
No, I think we're good. I know that she has to get going. So.
Yeah, we got the one final question, which is confusing to everyone, and then after that we'll do our outros. But Delilah, what I like to ask everyone as like the last question before we head off on the show is if you could live in any fantasy environment, what would it be? It could be any fantasy environment from books, video games, to comic books, anything. Where would you want to be?
Okay, say that again. You said,
so like let's say, like, would you love to live in the world of Harry Potter, like with wizards
I see.
stuff, or
What
like
universe?
Marvel, or like Star Wars, or or anything like the time of like Lord of the Rings, things like that. Any of those worlds. I'm just throwing out random stuff. You can pick literally anything. We've had people say that they want to live in the land of like Viva Pinata. We've got like the land of Pokemon.
That is an interesting question. Wow. Honestly, I've never really thought about like if I want to be in that world, such and such. Because usually when you play games, it's like it's dystopian and or it's post-apocalyptic.
It doesn't have to be games though.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
movies,
games.
Okay.
Comic books.
You could be like, I don't want to be in any of those. I want to be on the beach in Bermuda. You
cannot do that. That defeats the purpose of the question.
Yeah, it kind of does. It really doesn't. I would pick something futuristic. Even though like I have this weird thing with technology, like I want it to advance, but I don't want people to lose their jobs in the process. Which is, it's this whole automated world we're going toward is that's one of the conversation. I would say, just because I think the game is going to be super cool, I would say it would be Cyberpunk 2077. That world looks pretty neat. and I can mod myself with super cool abilities and whatnot.
So you remember the show, right, on Sci-Fi?
Yeah. What show?
There was like a show that was like Cyberpunk, like 2077
Oh, really?
or whatever.
I don't remember that. I don't
No.
remember the show.
Okay.
I don't remember
All right.
that.
Never mind.
But right, I'm like, what's she talking about? No, but I would pick yeah, something futuristic. Like was it Fifth Element? Like that was dope. That was a dope world.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Because it was for me with Fifth Element, it was kind of neat because it was futuristic, but it was like you still had some kind of standards type things. Because when they were in the theater, they're still sitting in a regular theater and they're still watching this lady perform. It was just like, okay, it's not too far out there. So yeah,
it was. That's really a good thought. Because like I never thought of like the Fifth Element as a type of world or environment, because there really was no warish to other than them trying to save the world. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good thought. I like it. So Delilah, why don't you tell us where everyone can find you and what everything, all your plugs, if you will, where the GWG ladies are and all of that.
Yeah, sure. Well, you guys, everyone listening or in the chat or anywhere, you guys know you can follow me on Twitter at Delilah_HD. You can also catch me on Growing with Gaming on Saturdays at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. Yeah, at youtube.com/Grown Women Gaming. And yeah. Don't know what else to say.
That's good.
Yeah, also on Twitter, like, because I do these Xbox Win campaigns, all on my own. This is even before Microsoft and all that stuff. It's like I just try to give something away, and just I try to encourage people to participate in those because it's just fun for me mostly. But yeah, so that hashtag is just hashtag Xbox WIN, Xbox Win, and it stands for Xbox and Windows 10. For obvious reasons now, I guess.
Yes.
Right. But
and those are your personal giveaways that you're giving back to
yes, all personal. I'm not getting, it's like hashtag no endorsements, no ads. It's all just me giving crap away because I just like to. I just remember what it's like to win stuff, and it's my way of just giving back to the community. That the community has helped me in my growth and helped me obtain the comfortable style that I have now in my life. So I like to give away as much as I can when I can.
You hear that, guys? She's comfortable.
What you trying to say?
I'm just saying.
Well, that's great. I think that everyone should go on there and take care of that, and I'll try to put some links in to our comments below, and also into the podcast information when we go through that. MJ, good sir.
You can find me on Twitter at BeattyMJ. You can find me on Snapchat, Beat101. Just recently hit, let's see here, if it'll load. I think I'm at like 430,000 snaps.
He is crazy with that thing. All the forehead shots.
No.
It's great. It's great. I applaud you for being able to do the Snapchats, because I am confused and I'm an old person, which we've established that throughout this episode, that I will not be using Snapchat.
Snapchat, TikTok, all of those are like, wow. I guess.
I mean, know your limits, right?
You say what?
I said know your limits, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, absolutely. You have to.
Yes, exactly.
I just can't. I'm more power to people that do that, because I can't. I'm always like, I don't. I be on camera when necessary. I'm like, I try to avoid it. I don't want my information out there. I'm super particular about it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe one day I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get this Instagram going. It's just not today. Not right now.
I kind of agree with you. Like, I thought about being more private, and then I thought to myself, what's the point if I'm streaming to the internet every night? I was like, there's no point for being private because everyone kind of knows my business already as it is. I mean, there's
that's true. Everybody knows everything already.
Yeah, so it's like if it's super personal, no one's gonna hear it. The only people who are gonna know about it is myself and my wife. That's it. And then everybody else is getting nothing. Anyway, L, where can we find you?
LBoogie0208 on Mixer and on Twitter. On Mixer, Tuesday through Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Going strong there. And yeah. Come chat with me. Oh, Gita, yeah, I know. Pete reminds me every fucking time. I don't know why. Anyways, GWG's on Saturday mornings. And then here next week on Monday.
Yes, we will. She is in both places. So,
and you see that we're here. He gave the Black people no breaks on MLK Day.
Ooh, ouch!
Wow,
way to spin that, L Boogie. Nice spin, right?
All you gotta say is, Pete, I don't want to work.
I don't know.
I don't want to come.
This is fun. This is not work. Come on, this is not work.
This is
not work. Why you spit like that? Come on.
Yeah. I have to. It's almost like
go under the table now. Don't.
That's jacked up. That is so jacked up.
Not jacked up. Pete knows I love him.
Yes, I do.
If I didn't, he wouldn't get these jokes.
Thankfully, I do understand these jokes.
No. I mean, I just wouldn't joke with you.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, that too. Drinks on me next time. PAX East.
Okay. Hold him to that too. Get a drink for me because I won't be there.
So we can get you out of here so you can get your movie.
Yeah. So my husband already texted me twice, so yeah, he's like,
hurry up.
Right.
So yeah, I got you. I am Snaldo. That's SNALYDO. You can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. I am on Twitch for every day, Monday to Friday, 7 to 10, unless I am here. I've actually been streaming a little bit on the weekends also because my wife is at work. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna play video games. It's a known thing. It happens all the time. So keep an eye on my Twitter for anything that goes on and what's new. And make sure you guys are, what was I gonna say?
What's your little catchphrase at the end?
Discord. I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm on Discord if anybody needs anything, any questions, anything like that. We're gonna probably start having some of our writers from lordsofgaming.net on for the next couple of weeks before we get to PAX East, because I want everybody to know who these guys are before we end up getting there and you start seeing their faces and asking, who are these people? I have no idea who they are that are part of the Iron Lords podcast team. So you're gonna be starting to see that. If anyone has any questions, please email us at roundtablestreamteam@gmail.com. We are on Twitter as Tablestream. If you go ahead and hit that follow button, you'll get notifications on who's our guests, when we are going live, and any fun things that are going on. If you need anything, you can always, add us there and I'll try to get back to you. We are on iTunes, Spotify, and all that fun stuff. Wednesday mornings it will be coming out and it'll come up live. I'll try to splice the videos up because of our internet issues from before. I'll see what I can do. And just to remember, the Iron Lords podcast is on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go check those guys out. They're a fantastic crew that we work with. And thank you everyone that are the viewers that are checking us out tonight. I greatly appreciate you guys coming in, and I love seeing that live chat going. It's awesome. And thank you everyone, and remember to dream big and keep gaming, and we'll see everybody next week. All right,
peace. Bye everybody.
Bye everybody.